Hello, Ali and Candice.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you.
This is exciting.
It is.
How long have you been here?
I don't know. I spoke to Sarah. I think it felt like 6 months, but I think I may have started in September, October last year.
How long is that?
What is it now?
March, April, May, June. 8, 9? 9-ish?
Yeah,
9-ish?
wow.
9 months? That
Coming
sounds
up.
about right. But you did go away a little bit along the way. You've been overseas a couple of times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
December, January.
Yeah.
Been to Melbourne a few times.
Yeah.
And so you've been doing CrossFit for a really long time.
Yeah, so I started probably back when I started in the fire service. While I was down in Melbourne, actually, Darren, have you both met Darren?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he rang me and he said, you have got to try this new exercise fitness thing. I said, what is it? He said, it's CrossFit. And I said, oh, okay. Where do I go? He said, just Google it. I was like, all right, I'll have a look. He said, it's absolutely you down to a T. You will love it. I said, okay. So I had a Google, came up with YouTube, and Camille
Bazin.
yeah. She came up. I was like, oh, okay. I think I'm liking this already.
What year do you reckon that was in?
Oh, 2012.
Yeah, cool.
And yeah, so I tried to have a look at what these women were up to, and found a place in Melbourne and took a couple of friends with me along. It wasn't. He was new to CrossFit. He'd just opened his little box, and I think it might have only been open a month. So when 3 of us walked in, 3 firefighters walked in, he was like, "This is great. You're gonna love it." I was like, "Okay, let's give it a go." And yeah, the rest was history.
What fitness did you do before CrossFit?
Always in the gym.
Yeah.
Played a lot of sport.
What sports?
Touch football, Oztag mainly. But
When did you start
Bloody
those?
Oztag.
It's a touchy subject around these parts.
yes, I know.
You've heard a few things. It's not just her. Hey, I was very injured as well.
You were.
Jokes. I wasn't as injured.
When I came, I think you
Oh,
had
that's
that
right. Her
brace on.
first session, I had, I just torn my MCL.
Did you
and
have
had
the
my
thing
brace
on?
on? Yeah.
That brace was heavy duty though.
Yeah.
It looked heavy duty.
Yeah.
And I think I said to you, well, maybe you should try touch football instead.
I was like, I'm fucking done with all of that.
Done with the team sports.
I still play it. I love it. So anyway, I had played a lot of sport, so that competitive edge around doing CrossFit really suited me. I loved it.
That's cool. And so did you grow up playing sport? Like, have you always done sport to some degree?
Yep, I think that's what got me through school.
That's cool.
Yep, any sort of sporting activity, my hand was up.
That's awesome.
Whether it was swimming, basketball, all 3 foot of me when I was back in high school. Yep, I played anything.
Yeah.
And then from school too, I coached a lot while I was in school, and that sort of transitioned me out of school. So I continued to coach a lot of kids' sports around, whether it was netball, soccer, basketball, you name it. I sort of got in there and put my hand up and continued to coach. I did that right up until, I still do it now, but right up until I left Sydney.
And then when did you become a firefighter?
In 2012.
Oh, cool.
So that's what I was down in Melbourne for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And why? What was the process kind of leading into that?
So I've always had a lot of male friends, and playing a lot of sport. They've always sort of dragged me along. When I was younger, we'd play cricket, we'd play touch football, you name it, whatever the boys were playing, we'd jump in and have a go as well. And a few of them had said to me, you really should try out to be a firefighter. And I was like, oh, no, I'm not fit enough. Meanwhile, I'd played sport and been fit, or what I considered fit, wasn't fit enough to become a firefighter, because a lot of friends that had applied in the past had failed, and that kind of scared me. So I was like, oh no, if they haven't got in, because one of my good friends, she was an Iron Woman, and I think she'd applied a few times and hadn't got through, and I was like, oh, if she's not getting in, there's no way I'm gonna pass the fitness test and get in. And then eventually it was a couple of friends who'd applied, and they said, you should apply now, it's open, they really need women. I was like, oh, I'll put my application in and see how I go. And because the aptitude tests that you've got to do just to get past that first stage is, I didn't realise I was actually good at them, but a lot of people fail at that part. and spatial awareness and all the rest of it. And when you're trying to do them online, you've got the times running down, so you've got to try and answer as many as you can. And anyway, so I did the first application, and you don't know whether you pass for a while. Well, when I applied, you didn't know for a while, and then all of a sudden you get a random email that says, congratulations, you've progressed through to the next stage. And I thought, oh wow, I actually got through. So another test came along, and this happened for a while. And then when I got the congratulations, you've progressed through to the physical, we'd been, at the time, both Darren and I were personal trainers in just a regular gym, Titan Fitness in Coogee. It's a really big, beautiful gym. And he said, well, if you've got to do the physical, we may as well get out there now and see if you can do it now. And I said, okay, because you had to do the beep test. And back then you had to get as far as 9.6. I said, all right, we'll go down on the park, because if I do it on grass, it's a lot harder than doing it on asphalt. He said, we'll get you to level 10. And if you can get to level 10, at least you're comfortable there. I said, okay. So we went across the road, got the beep test out, measured the 20 metres and got to level 10. It was quite easy. And he said, oh, that's good. That's the easy part. And then I said, well, what about the strength side? Because apparently you've got to lift this big heavy hose that weighs 100 kilos. And I knew a lot of guys who were already in the fire service. So I spoke to them all, and they told me what to do. So I was in the bottom of the gym running around dragging 100 kilos to see how I would go. I thought it felt easy. And a lot of guys said to come out with them to their fire stations, and they, got me behind the hose so I could feel what the pressure was like. And I thought, all right, let's get this physical done. And then on the day of the physical, I was really nervous. And if I think I can do something, I want to get in and get it done and get it over and done with. So I said to the lady there, do you mind if I go first? And she was like, yeah, if you want to go first. Yeah, absolutely. So I said, I just need to get this over and done with. Anyway, I did the physical, passed everything. And when I came back, I said, that was really easy. I'm really glad it's over with. But then all the other females that were there that day would go out and fail. Then the next one failed, and then the next one failed. And I was like, oh, it's kind of a little bit hard. But anyway, no other female passed that day. And I was just that excited. I jumped in the car, rang Darren. I said, I passed. I said, but I'm the only female who passed today. And because on the day that I did it, there was a lady who was a triathlete, and she just looked super fit, and she failed. And then there was another lady there who was an Australian sprinter. She also failed. And I'm thinking,
why did I make it and they didn't? Is that what you were thinking? Like,
yeah,
what's the difference?
I'm not an elite athlete. Yeah. I just train in a gym and play sport. I was looking at them thinking, wow, they're amazing. And and they just didn't pass. So got the congratulations. You've progressed again through to the medical stage, and got the acceptance for the recruitment stage, which back then it was only 11 weeks down in Melbourne. But now I think it's around 16 weeks. So, had to pack up and go down to Melbourne, which was pretty tough. Yeah. The first week on the Friday I cried. And I rang a good friend of mine who's already in the fire service, and I rang him and I said, oh, Muzz, I don't think I can do this. This isn't for me. I said, I don't even know why I'm down here. And I was bawling. Like, I had to come back. We had Tough Mudder on the Saturday. So that Friday I flew home to go and do Tough Mudder in Sydney. So I'm at the airport bawling my eyes out, going, I just don't even know why I'm here. And he was like, once you get to station, it'll be totally different. Down there, it's a bit regimented, but just go with it. You'll get through it. You'll be fine. Anyway, came home, did Tough Mudder, shook it all off, went back, and the rest of my time there was amazing.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely loved it.
So what year was that? Do you remember?
2012.
That was 2012. And then did you have kids then? Yeah. So you left your kids to go there for the 11 weeks?
Yep.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
How old or how many kids do you have now?
So I've got 5.
Yeah. And what did you have then?
Had 4 at the time.
Yeah.
Thought that was it, 4 and done. And we had the youngest. He was 4 because he had to start school not long after I came back. So while I was away, I missed the application process to get him into school. So Darren had to do all of that. And
what was Daz doing for work at the time when you...
I'd say he was probably still at the gym.
Yep.
So we worked in like a Globo gym, Titan Fitness. It's a really beautiful gym down at Coogee, and he was the personal training manager down there at the time. And, it's local, just living life.
And was that I'm not sure if you remember, but was it a hard decision for you two to sit down and be like, this is what I want to do, I want to be a firey, got these 4 children that we've got to take care of together, or was it no question?
No, it definitely was something to consider. But I had my mum as well, and my mum has been there since day dot. So she's the reason why I've been able to do most of the things that I do. And so her and Darren literally juggled the whole thing. And we worked out too that, Monday to Friday would be training just like a working week. And then on the weekends, either I would come home or Darren would come to Melbourne and bring, it was mainly the youngest one that he was 4. So the others were a bit older and too cool for school anyway. So
What, Mom?
I don't need you. No, exactly. But so did the 11 weeks and came back and have been there ever since. Yes.
Very cool. And then how long did you work as a firey for?
I'm still there. So I'm almost coming up to 13 years now. Yeah. So it was really interesting because while I was down there and did the CrossFit, we came back and we'd already been looking for our own gym. Not necessarily a CrossFit gym, well, absolutely, definitely not a CrossFit gym, but we were looking for our own space and, considering what it would be like if we did go and find our own little adventure. And when I came back, we both signed up to CrossFit Coogee, which was in Coogee at the time, and it was incredible. I could not believe how I thought I was fit, and it just took me to that next level. Where I didn't think that I could squat, 100, I'd do, like if we had to do squats, 100 kilos was probably, you'd do it once every quarter maybe. And then my deadlifts were maybe 60 kilos and I'd do, 3 lots of 10. And then when you go from 60 to think 70 and then 80 and then 90, and you're thinking, what have I been doing for the last 20
Wasting all this time.
Yeah. So anyway, so we came back and we were both at CrossFit Coogee, and at the time CrossFit Coogee wasn't doing so well and we were already looking for a venue, and Darren spoke to Andrew, who was the owner of CrossFit Coogee, and said, well, we're looking for a gym at the moment. If we find one, would you be interested in maybe partnering? And we can run the 2 gyms, support each other to get through it, what have you. And we ended up finding... Sorry, I do talk a lot.
No, go.
This is the whole point
of a podcast.
You're doing great.
Well, we found this IGA. It was an old IGA. It had been like vacant for 8 years. And when we went down to have a look at it, it was in an area of Maroubra that, was renowned for drugs, low socioeconomic area. It was like a bit of a rough area. And I knew the area well, and I had a lot of friends who lived down there. So when we went down, we pulled up out the front of this old, like, deserted street, looked at the supermarket, and I said, that would be amazing. And Darren agreed. He was like, absolutely. I said, but I just don't know if we'd survive here, 12 months because of the area. And as we were sitting there, we just looked down to the left, and there was Father Chris Riley. He used to look after the homeless. And anyway, it was a couple of doors down, and this guy walked out, and he's an amazing guy, mind you. And when he walked out, we've looked over and said, oh, Eric. So we knew him. And he was like, oh, what are you doing down here? And Darren said, oh, we're looking at the supermarket. He said, open a supermarket? And he was like, no, we're thinking about putting a gym in here. And he went, you're kidding, that would be amazing. I said, yeah, but what I'm thinking is I don't know how long we'd last here. And he goes, mate, I work there. Like, you'll be sweet. You'll be fine. Get in there. What kind of gym? And Darren goes, oh, it's a CrossFit gym. He goes, what's CrossFit? Anyway, lo and behold, Eric was a athlete himself, and he'd had a severe injury when he was playing NRL. He rang me one day when I was at Titan Fitness, and I answered the phone, and he wanted to sign up and join the gym because he said he just needed to sign up right now and come in because he needed to change his life. Then he told me a little bit about what was going on for him, and I said to him, well, when you come in here, you can actually get some free personal training sessions. I can actually put you on with somebody who I think would be a great match. And I told Darren about it. I said, you really need to meet with this guy. So Darren did. And he gave him the 3 sessions. Then after the 3 sessions, Eric said, I can't actually afford to do personal training. And Darren was like, mate, I'm going to train you for nothing. I want you to continue to keep coming to this gym and show up every day. And so Eric did. So when, and you know, those kind gestures, and Darren and I talk about it all the time, how it comes back in swings. And so just the fact that Darren had built this relationship with Eric, when we turned up at this supermarket and Eric was there and he said, "Don't worry, I've got you."
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it really was, because he did look after all the little hoodlums and all the little kids that ran around in the area that would graffiti everywhere. They did not touch our gym once. So Darren opened the gym to them and they would come in and train. So at 4:30 or after school, Eric would feed them at Father Chris Riley's, or they'd come next door. They'd do a training session. Darren had them painting the front. So they took full ownership of the gym, these kids, and they never, ever did anything wrong to our gym.
They would have looked after it so good.
They really did. And so I think the fact that Darren had this relationship with Eric, and I might say Eric's a games athlete. He's an adaptive, he's been out there for a number of years now, because he came in, tried CrossFit, loved it. He only had the use of one arm because he'd severed must have been a nerve in his neck. He had a really serious injury. So he had no use of his left side, hence why we bought the adaptive barbell that I was telling you about. And he just started, we said, we don't know how you're going to go. Just pick up the barbell and you show us what you can and can't do. And ended up at the games.
Amazing.
Yeah. Really, really good story, especially how you show some kindness to someone, how it comes back, which we always talk about.
I want to just go into that a little bit because that's cool. Have you both always been wired that way? Like, did you learn that from someone being kind to you and then you figured it out? Like, how did that come about? You say you always talk about it.
Well, a lot of people say that you really should be charging for your services, and we get that. We get that as from a business perspective. But also too, when you can give someone kindness and show value, things just turn around. Like, eventually it comes back to you. And it's just happened to us so many times. I'd like to say that Darren and I are both big networkers in the sense that we love people. So if you come from community background, it's just, I think it's just ingrained in you. And when you find out more about people, you find out more about what they do, it tends to, I can't explain it, but it's just something that it must be ingrained in us, because every time we've done it, we've found that it's come back to us in tenfold.
Yep.
Yeah.
And community background, what does that mean? Do you think that means like even just being a part of team sports growing up 100%. And all of that kind of thing?
Yeah.
And you say you love people. Have you always loved people?
Yeah.
You always wanted to be family?
No.
Oh.
Well, I'm an only child, so no. And Darren's, he has one brother and one sister. No, I think it's more of the sport element, because, I mean, you know, when you do your personality tests, you find out more about yourself. I can't do things on my own, so I would never be a good tennis player, or I can't even golf. If I play golf, I've got to play with a partner. Or if I play tennis, I've got to have a partner. I can't do things on my own. And the same with team sports, because I've played team sports all of my life. I like to have that. I think that's why I like being a firefighter as well, because you're always surrounded by your little family when you're with your crew on shift. So I think I'm drawn towards that community environment, which is again why I love CrossFit.
Yeah.
So cool.
Cool
and then
story.
how long did you have that gym for?
We sold it. Actually, we kept it when we moved up here, and we sold it. It's probably going on 2 years. I'm not sure. Maybe 18 months. We sold that, the one down in Sydney.
And you continued to run that while you were a firey?
Well, so I'd put in for a transfer to because with my job it's federal, because we're aviation, we can transfer to one of 27 stations around the country, and every now and then they open up applications and you can put your name in if you'd like to transfer somewhere. So because of COVID, we had a few people from Sunshine Coast retire, or they were given redundancies. So when they moved on, it was a great opportunity for me to put an application in, because if I was going to get it, that would have been the time. So they rang me I was on leave. I had December, January off, and they rang me in January and said, really make sure you get back to work because your name is on this list. And you look like you might get Sunshine Coast, but you need to be back at station to get the transfer. And I was like, I'm back. And then when I came back to work, I was down in Melbourne again doing some training and received a phone call saying if I did get a transfer to Sunshine Coast, how soon could I move? And because I was so desperate to get here, I was like, now, yesterday, get me there. You know, whenever you need me, I'll be there. And anyway, sure enough, I got an email confirming that I had been accepted for the transfer. And they said, okay, can you be here in a month? And I was like, yes, I can. Because I didn't want to say no through fear of it going to somewhere else, because Sunshine Coast is probably one of the most sought after stations in the country. So I said, yes, I can do it. And then remembered that I hadn't even considered Darren or the kids.
You're like, just take me.
and what we had to factor into the move. So that actually meant being here 2 weeks, because I had to look at schools, we had to find somewhere to live. So I thrive under pressure and I tend to do it a lot. But we ended up moving up here in that 2 week time frame.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. And
Did you own your house or rent a house?
we rented and we had 12 months to transition. So I said to Darren, it's okay, we've got somewhere to stay in Sydney. You can just fly back and forth. And the gym we've got coaches in the gym. We had coaches in the gym. So it was pretty much, taken care of. And yeah, that 12 months of living here like that, where I'd go to work, I'd come home, he'd fly to Sydney, he'd come back, I'd go to work. And we tag teamed like that for almost 12 months. And a lot of it had to do around also to wanting to get a mortgage up here to buy a place. So we needed him to hold on to the gym so that he could show the finances to the bank. So anyway, so we sort of juggled that around for a while. And we also too had one of our members in the gym who was desperate to get in there. And it was him who pushed us to the end and said, if you don't sell to me now, I'm looking for something else. So it kind of made us, push came to shove, and we ended up getting all the paperwork done, and we sold it up, and here we are.
So at one stage you had two. You had the gym up here and the gym down there?
Yeah, so the stables we had up here, that was interesting as well, because we had a couple of friends who'd moved to Sunshine Coast and they lived up here, and her husband always wanted to have a gym, in particular a CrossFit gym. So he had said to Darren, if I buy a CrossFit gym up here, would you be interested in,
partnering?
Yeah, and mentoring me from Sydney. There was no plan for us to move here. So it was just going to be an investment into a gym, and then Darren would support them. And yeah, with the transfer, it all happened at once. So we transferred here in March and settled on the stables with Josh and is it Cassie? I can't remember her name, in April. So it just happened really, really quick. And so that's how the stables came about. But when we got here, Darren, he never really wanted to invest in the stables to own it outright anyway. And again, being community people, it never really felt like our community, because we'd moved into a place. We didn't even know the area. So it was never really, it was a great place for you to start if you'd never really owned gyms before. But coming from the gym that we had in Sydney and building that community and knowing what it's really like to have your members.
And like from that ground up, literally that perspective of like that whole story you told before, like that's special.
Yeah.
Like coming into a different one, like Candice and I don't know if you know, but we opened a second gym together, 2020.
Just before COVID,
2019.
Maybe the end of 2019.
And that was, that second gym was a second ownership. Like we were coming in on a community, and we definitely felt that as well. Like it's different.
Okay.
It's
Do you still have it?
No.
No.
That was, COVID was like, ugh!
He died with COVID.
Yeah.
We had it for like 3 months, and then COVID was like, no bitches, you don't need this. But it was pretty tough walking into an established community.
And I really, didn't think of it.
We both didn't think of it
it
at
was
the
like
time.
we can just make it what
this
is, but you can't.
when people have that
preconceived
already,
kind of
it was
thing.
tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we found it at the stables as well. So they didn't really have many members there when we took over. And because they'd come from Mountain Creek High School. And then when they moved there, I think that 12 months of being there was so different to having having it in the school, that a lot of their members had moved on, or they weren't even paying proper membership prices. They
Found that the hard way too, didn't we?
Also found that out.
So we knew that there would be members that moved on, but we've learnt that anyway along the way. As you know, when people come in and they're not aligned with you, they'll move on.
Yeah.
Like if you don't stroke their ego enough, which we never did, they would move on, because we weren't really looking for that type of member. And it doesn't really sit well with Darren and I anyway. We're not that type of person ourselves. So when members would come in and they'd leave, we knew that they were going to leave anyway, because they just weren't aligned with who we were. And we've found that over time, when people come in, you'd know. Do you find that yourselves?
Absolutely.
You know, that if they don't align, they'll move on, but that's okay, because they probably were never
They
meant to
weren't
be
your people,
there.
yeah.
And then you find the people who stay really are your people. And
the longer you have a community, or like you guys seem so sure of who you are and what you want and what you're looking for, but the longer we have this community, I no longer have to manage that. Members self-select based on what's going on around them. So if they don't fit in with what we've got going on, they don't stay very long. Like
I think
in
that's
terms
what-
of our values,
Yeah.
we don't have to police that as hard like we used to.
Yeah.
You either fit or you don't.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we don't have to do anything about it. Like
Yeah, it's gotten faster and faster over the years
Yeah.
as well, I think. Like
Yeah.
people just like, oh, this is not.
yeah,
not
and
for
that's
me.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, it's okay.
Yeah.
We found that at the stables. So there were a lot of members that were there that left.
Yeah.
And it was interesting too, because they weren't our people.
Yeah.
Well, they weren't. I wasn't really aligned with them anyway. So, but yeah, they moved on, and then we moved on.
Yeah,
Cows
and it's
there.
okay. And I've
Yeah.
always said to Jordo, what I've found, one of the most difficult things is when people do move on, like that you don't have to hate something that's not for you. Like if I see you in the street and I know you, we can wave to each other, and it doesn't have to be weird just because this wasn't for you, or you weren't for us, or we weren't for you, whatever way you want to look at it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be hateful.
Yeah.
Humans are weird like that. They either love it or they have to try not everyone, have to convince everyone around them
That
why
was
it's
awful,
a bad thing.
yeah.
You just gotta
It's true.
water off a duck's back, just like let it go,
Yeah.
say hello. And yeah, it's been a very eye-opening part of running a gym, I reckon.
Yeah.
And then so all of that, and then were you training through that whole, because that's pretty nuts, like moving up here, getting the gym?
No.
No.
So I let it all go, and so when I left, before I left Sydney, I'd had a shoulder injury. I fell out of the truck. We had a sticky door in our first response vehicle, and I gave it a good shoulder. And as I did, I had my hand on the handle as well, and it opened, but I wasn't expecting it to open. So I fell out. And I
It's
don't-
too strong, Ali.
So the truck's up high, and we've got this long handle. So as I flew out, I just caught the handle, and as I came down, it just pulled my shoulder. It wasn't bad, but it gave me a sharp shooting pain. That turned into frozen shoulder, but it took me so long that I gave up. I just thought I'd never have my shoulders back. So moving here, I came here with the sore shoulder. I could do things, and I'd only feel it on, different, like if I
Certain
was
movements.
yeah, like shutting the vehicle door up high. I just didn't bother hanging from a bar because I just couldn't. And and I couldn't get it behind my ear. So so when I moved here, I'd let that go, and I'd sort of succumb to the fact that, look, I'm probably not going to go back to CrossFit again. I'll just train in the gym. And it was really boring, and I hated it, but I ended up letting it go, and then letting it go even more. So before I came in here, and we had the stable, so I'd go in there and I'd try and train and throw things around here and there, but it just wasn't fun. And so I lost that whole drive to even want to go and train. So I stopped training altogether, and I would just go to work and maybe train a little bit in the gym there, and really it wasn't much until Darren more or less gave me the kick, and he said, you really should go to Contessa. He said, the girls there are amazing, and he said, no, I think you might like them, because they kind of, I think they're
pretty
kind
cool.
Yeah, he did. And I was really hesitant about it, but Regan had started school also. So Casey, her son, was in Regan's class. And I don't know how we got talking, but she'd mentioned that she had done CrossFit and she was coming here. So she said, you should come down there. And I thought, this
All right,
went on
that's
for a while.
two.
And
Fine.
exactly. And eventually I said, oh, maybe I'll come down. She said, well, maybe just do a drop in and come and see if you like it. And then that's when I don't even know how I reached out. And yeah, I've been here ever since. And it has actually completely changed my whole perspective again and given me back that hope that I can actually do things. I've gone back to playing sport again, and
That's so
my
cool.
injuries are great. Yeah.
Can I ask the nasty question? How old are you?
50. I'm 51 on Sunday.
Happy birthday.
Thanks.
That's so friggin' cool that you can still be getting better, like after everything that has happened with your body. And when you started here, I remember you couldn't get your arm over your head, or even the front rack. I remember we were trying to work on that for so long.
Yep. There's been a couple of times where I've been here and I've nearly cried.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I just didn't
I
think I'd do
did
that
that.
again.
Yeah.
And even getting emotional, I cry over everything, but I don't think I'm an emotional person when it comes to myself. But doing some things that I hadn't done in such a long time was amazing. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Let's go back to the start of when you started here. Let's be honest. First thoughts, so we still, I think from memory, you emailed and then I said, do on-ramp. And then Daz called me. He's like, she's done CrossFit. I was like, I don't care. She's doing on-ramp. And then you were like, okay. And I was like, okay, let's do this. So then we put you through, was it with you?
I think we just did one,
Just one sesh?
Yeah.
I'm not even. I
Can't
think so.
remember.
I
I'm
came
pretty
in-
sure.
Well, I couldn't do much. I think you had me on the bike. Did some wall balls.
Yeah,
I
we were
could
just
do a
like,
burpee.
oh, that's right. We were trying to
Tested.
figure
You
out what you
tested,
could do.
yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because you had me do some front squats.
Yeah.
So on-ramp into class, first month, do you remember what you thought? Were you like, don't know, is this going to be for me long term? Or were you like, no, this is cool?
No, actually, the reason I liked it is because it had pulled me right back, which I needed because I hadn't trained for so long, and it's all I needed. I didn't need any more than that. So it's not like I was coming here to train to be the fittest I could be or the strongest I could be. It was just to get me moving again and get me back in the right mindset of knowing how important it is to come, even if it was 3 times a week. So I committed to that and thought, if I can come in and just move every class, and I in my opinion, I didn't think that the classes were completely taxing on me, which was exactly what I needed. Because in our gym in Sydney, I don't know if it was because it was our gym, I would go in there and I'd just annihilate myself every time. And then I'd feel like I'd really trained hard. Whereas here, that wasn't happening. So I would go home and I'd think, oh, I got through today's workout. I'm feeling really good. I didn't have that soreness that I would not normally experience if I was going back to training after having a couple of weeks off or a couple of months off. And it was really nice on my body. So so I was really only thinking about how I was feeling. I wasn't really thinking about anything but that. So that first month of coming in and committing to the 3 days per week minimum, I think I might have done 4 here and there, was really, really good for me. It pulled me right back. It made me stop and think about what I actually wanted from the gym. And for me, it was just to get me moving again. So I loved it. I loved the fact that I had to not humble myself, but sometimes you say you really know you're maturing in CrossFit when you're no longer there to try and be the best or the strongest. And that's where I was. I was literally here to try and get myself back.
What about and you say you didn't think about anything else apart from that, which is completely fair in that stage where you were at. And over the 9 months or whatever, 8 months you've been here, we've definitely seen you become a pretty big staple in the community, which you weren't in the beginning. And it didn't, from our perspective, looking at the early days, you do your class, you get the fuck out. Now you're like, I would say you're a pretty solid part. Was that a conscious decision to let yourself be a part of the community, or do you think that just happened organically?
Well, actually, I'm not a real girly girl.
Were you nervous about that, being at a girls' gym at the start?
It did cross my mind, but because I've been in a fire station and I'm with men all the time, I thought it'd be nice to get away from men. Not that I have an issue with men, but
yeah.
I thought it'd be nice to go into an environment with just women. What I've never really found in the past is I'm not a real girly girl, and I don't know how to do women chatter. you know, let's go get your nails done, hair done. I'm not that type of person. So that crossed my mind. I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to like these women. I'll just go in and suss them out. So it probably took me a while to really think, they're pretty cool chicks.
No one's asked me to get my nails done even once.
Exactly.
Their nails are shit too. Incredible.
So that whole perception that I had in my head, oh, I hope they're not real, you know, girly girl women, but they're all my kind of women.
That's pretty cool.
That's really cool.
Did that take you a couple months, you reckon? Or you don't really remember? Can't put a timeline on it.
Yeah, well, a couple of months. I then went to New Zealand. So when I came back, I felt like I was starting again.
Yeah.
Because New Zealand, I didn't hold back. I ate a lot and it was a really good holiday. And then I think I was in Melbourne. But when I came back, I thought, okay, now I really need to commit to myself. I need to get myself back on track. And my shoulders were getting better. And yeah, I just thought I'll come back in. A few of the women I'd met and had a few conversations with, and I was thinking, oh yeah, they're pretty cool women here. There's no pressure. There's no girly girl. The things that I had in my head didn't exist. Maybe they don't exist. Maybe they're just in my head anyway. So no, yeah, I love it. Yeah, I love the women here. They are really cool.
I wonder if that's a common... You had it too.
Misconception?
Actually, you had it too. Yeah. She was the same. She didn't fully commit. She wasn't in at the start.
I wasn't. And not because, not that reason, I don't think. I think it was like...
I think you were afraid that we didn't train hard.
Yeah, I think it was like, oh, that must be pretty soft if it's...
Bit curves like.
Yeah, maybe not quite that bad, but it's a lot of pink.
I was 24 and I liked pink when I opened. It was a lot of
bit
pink
like,
back then.
that's feminine. That's a lot
It's
of
a
girl.
lot of girly girl.
Which, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even when it looked that way,
Yeah.
it still wasn't.
It still wasn't.
Fuck me. Pink and a bow and a crown in my first logo, Ali. It was a lot.
A bow.
I don't want to talk about
I
it.
like the crown.
I used to wear lots of... I didn't... I was never... I don't know. I was never really a girly girl, but I liked some of the girly girl things. But I've never been a girly girl.
It's great for marketing.
It works.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
I wasn't even... the pink actually didn't even bother me.
There wasn't that much when you saw it. You should have seen the old logo. It was pink and yellow. It was a lot. It was a lot in reflect. But I was...
You've grown up with the gym.
The gym has
It
grown.
was your first baby,
Yeah,
you know.
It was a lot.
We all do stuff. We look back on like, oh, that wasn't...
I think I wanted to call it Contessa Queens even back then, or what was it? It was something that you would not have joined.
We wouldn't be here right now.
Neither of you would be sitting here if that name got approved.
I actually didn't think I would join an all-women's gym anyway. I really didn't. It was Darren that gave me that real big push.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
And I'm
I
glad
think
he
the
did.
perception of all women's gyms, it's taken a long time to just put across that it's not the same as what it used to be. And I started, my fitness was Fernwood. That's where I started, and Fernwood's great. I'm not knocking Fernwood. It's for some people and it works well, but it's not Fernwood. And I think when you think women's gym, you think of those kinds of gyms. And I think that has taken a long time for people to see the difference between, which is why we do things here. I had this conversation with one of the staff members this week. I don't like certain music to be played here that is very girly music, because this is it's a part of being strong and empowered women. I don't want Nikki Webster playing in my gym. And there is a reason for
Does
that.
she still sing?
I don't know, but there are those strong songs that she had. But yeah, I think I've had to work really hard to show that we're not what people think we are from the outside.
I think I may have thought that.
Yeah.
I think I may have thought too that it might be soft, and that it was, a safe space for women to come and train where they didn't need to worry about men watching them or, ogling them. I may have thought that, but it wasn't an issue for me. It was just maybe that's why it's great for other women.
Yeah,
But no, it's definitely good for all women.
Mm.
It
Absolutely.
is. It's not soft.
It's not soft. It's as soft as you let it be for you.
So you, at the moment, you're a fiery, but I know that you do a lot of work with women, with like resilience-based stuff in the workplace. Do you want to talk to that a little bit?
Yeah, so that it all started probably from joining a career where it was male dominated, and I'd never experienced misogyny or sexism or discrimination before joining the fire service. I didn't really even know it was a big deal. And then it didn't take me long before getting to the fire station and being asked if I really wanted to be a firefighter. Like, are you sure you really want to be a firefighter, is what my boss had said to me. And I thought, gosh, that's an odd question.
Like, I'm here.
Am I showing that I'm not? Like, in my head, I'm thinking, wow, I must be looking like I don't want to be here, which I did. And he said, oh, did you consider the wives of all the men that work here, and like how they must feel knowing now that they're sleeping at a fire station and there's a female here? And that threw me a little bit. I was like, is that actually, like, really? Have you seen the men in this station? They're not fire calendar men. But anyway, I could not believe that
No,
he'd
Mr.
asked.
February's in here.
Definitely not. And
How old were you when they asked this as well? Just out of curiosity.
30. Well, this was 2012. So how long ago was that? 11 years. So 51, 11, maybe 40, almost 40, 38, I think.
Like you just some absolute young ho out to... Oh, I'm mad already. We haven't even gotten in that. Keep going, sorry.
So that's how it began. So that was my first exposure to it. And it didn't stop there. There were, I had one guy coming in and he was like, so are you gay?
Oh my
Are you
God.
bi? Have you got kids? Like, what's your story? And straight out. And I'm thinking, I can't believe men speak like this.
Are you gay? Are you bi? Like, what the fuck?
Well, what does it even matter?
Yeah.
And so anyway, all of these things were coming at me, and because you're sort of on probation for your first 9 months, you're never going to do anything to upset anyone. And then it takes 2 years before you actually become a proper, like, fully qualified in being a firefighter to be able to do all the things and get paid your proper wage. So the first 2 years, there was a lot of it. And I truly believe that my career was actually hindered through, not being allowed to do things. You need to build merit, and you need to show that you're doing things towards maybe wanting to become an officer or whatever it is. I would always ask to do things, and I was completely denied every single time I would ask. Could I be the first aid facilitator? No, you don't have the experience. Okay, can I be the BA, which is the breathing apparatus facilitator? Can I do that too? Oh, look, you don't really have the experience. And I'm thinking, well, I don't have experience in anything, but how am I going to get experience if you don't, put me forward? So this continued, and in 2014, interestingly enough, I was sent by my then station manager to Canberra to a women's conference, and it was a Women in Firefighting Australasia conference. And when I got there, it was incredible. I couldn't believe that there were, so many women there who had been in the job for 20 years, 10 years. Some had only recently joined, but the conference itself offered so many different speakers and presenters that there was just so much to gain from it. And I met so many women there that I'm still really close with today. And if it wasn't for their support, I probably wouldn't be a firefighter anymore, because the amount of pressure that you put on yourself anyway, being a fiery, around men, having to prove yourself all the time, there's just so many things in there that make you want to leave. It's like, I can't believe they don't align with your values. So when you know, and when you can stand solid on what your values are and what they mean, it's really hard to pretend to, you're not really being authentic. You're pretending to be somebody to survive, and to survive just to keep your job. So you let things go, and then you let them go again. And then before you know it, you've let so many things go that you think,
Like, who even am I now?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So along the way, meeting all of these, from that conference, I actually then went on in 2016, and I was nominated for the board. So I ended up on the board for Women in Firefighting, and just seeing the women, the stories were the same everywhere, hearing about the issues and concerns that women had. And I think unnecessarily, like, there's just no need, because a lot of the men you would meet were really lovely. They all had wives or daughters. And when you would see them away from the fire station, they were really different. And so it's just an odd environment. But I would see more and more women come through and that have the same problems. So I would work on, how can we improve this? So I've sat on, cultural reform boards. I've sat on diversity and inclusion committees, and I've done a lot in the space to try and improve things for women, all to no avail. But that's because I was sitting inside the organisation trying to do things. So if I just pull myself away, which I have, and now work on the Resilient Responders, which is delivering courses for women around, being finding the calm in the chaos, or having authentic leadership and knowing what your values are. So having a full awareness, and how if women were introduced to that at their recruit course, or were even empowered before they became a firefighter in the first place, they'd be so much more resilient in their job, and they'd know not to stand for things that they don't have to stand for. And so so that's really where it came. It came from my experiences, so the lived experiences that I've had right through to now, and meeting other women has just made me want to do more in that space, especially in the wellbeing space. And from personal training, I mean, I'm sure you've both seen it yourselves. Sometimes personal training, you're a little bit like a life coach anyway. You'll come in and it might be more of a counselling session than a training session. There'll be times where maybe your client needs to just actually go for a walk or have a coffee because they just don't even have the energy to train, or whatever it might be. So that sort of overlay as well that I'd experienced as a personal trainer has come with me on this journey as well. So that care factor to make things better for women, it's been really important to me.
That's amazing.
I cannot type fast.
Becky's trying to take notes.
You speak very well of all of this too.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
It's very cool.
Probably because I'm passionate about it, and so when you've lived it, it probably just oozes out of me now. Yeah. But
If you could change one thing about the female experience in the fire service, what would it be?
That it doesn't exist.
That there is no difference.
Yeah.
Oh, I got goosebumps. Sorry.
Well, it
Ali for
shouldn't
Prime
be an
Minister.
issue.
I'm
I don't know if you were in
I
for
don't know
running, but surely it's all
Yeah, far too
political up
nice.
there.
It is. It is. And it's government too, so you only need to tick boxes to make sure that, you're deemed to be caring about things, when in fact there's no care factor.
I think not blowing smoke up your ass, so don't leave here, thinking that I'm just doing that.
Do it anyway.
You come across, my perception of you is you come across quietly confident in a very humble manner, in that confident versus cocky line. There's not really that, I can't really see that there for you. I'm sure we see it on the field if you're playing OzTag and everything, but you're confident and seem to know who you are, which I find working with many women, lots of them struggle with that side, or even struggle to take up space. My perception of you is you come across that you're okay with doing that, and you do it quite well.
And quietly, but you're there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a...
Yes. You put that into words very well.
Thank you.
Thank
I've been
you.
thinking, I've been thinking,
Thank you.
Like you take up
it's
space, but you're not a
arrogant
dick about it. Yeah.
Well, that's good.
I like that.
where
That is good.
It is, yeah. But it's like, it doesn't matter what you say. I want to listen to it because you're confident in how you deliver it, and I believe it. Has anyone ever said anything like this to you before? Do you know this about yourself? Is it something you've had to work on? Is it something that you've developed through the work that you've been doing?
I'd say,
because I want what you have. I want everyone to have. So that's why I'm asking, because I want people to feel what you look like you feel. I don't know if you feel that way. Does that make sense?
it does.
Good.
I didn't realise that that's the perception you'd have of me. I didn't even realise that that's how it seemed. But I do know who I am now.
When did that happen? Just asking
So
for a friend.
I'm kidding. So
How old were you exactly?
well, I don't think it happened overnight. But I think when you've been dealing with the things you deal with, even from a work perspective, and working on the things that we work on. So for me, yes, the root cause therapy that I've worked on, it's all around limiting beliefs, the life coaching, the trauma therapy, all of that comes from having to work on yourself, because you can't really help somebody else without doing the work yourself. And it's not to say that I'm perfect by any means, because I do not rate myself at all by any means, to the point, like, I'll give myself a little plug here, because I don't normally, but I was so excited by it, and I don't normally get excited. So I've played in an Australian and state sport for years. You know, I've won the MVPs, we've won all the grand finals, been given all the medals and everything, and they've never really meant that much to me. Yes, I'm competitive, and yes, I love winning. However, I'm almost 51, and I had told a friend of mine that I would play OzTag with her, which was meant to be back in March, but it was cancelled because of Alfred. And anyway, it was brought up a couple of weeks ago. So we played last weekend, or may have been the weekend before, and it was a 37s women's comp. So prior to going, I hadn't had an opportunity to train much with them. And plus I'd had a few niggles going on as well. So going into the weekend, I thought, I don't know how I'm going to go this weekend. But I've played sport my whole life. I don't really get nervous about it anymore. So anyway, I turned up, played the whole weekend, and I'm just there to encourage these women now, because they're all 10 years younger than me. And I'm just there to hope that they believe in themselves, and that they continue to play, and that they turn up next year. And even though we've lost and we didn't make it past the quarterfinals, there were some really good wins. So you try and encourage women to keep going. Well, this is me. Anyway, at the end of that tournament, they announced the Queensland team, and there was my name.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was like,
so good.
Not that I would want to play anymore, because I've done it all, but, and because it's Queensland.
Hey.
What a fucking great team. Yeah.
So just seeing that, like, normally I would never be fazed by anything like that, but I said to I sent the photo to Darren, I can't remember where he was, and he was like, well done. I was like, wow, I'm 50. Like, I'm 50.
Fuck yes. That's
Yeah, and I was
so
thinking,
good.
Like, I know when I turned up, I just play, and you know how you said when you're on the field, you might feel like, I don't. I just go out and play, because I think it's just what I do. You know how you zone in on things? I think it's just what I do naturally or well. But to actually have made that side, and it was only as a shadow, because they have your run-on team, in which that came out of the grand finalist teams. And then there was one person from my team, and there was my little name.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Well done.
Which I've never been excited about making teams in the past. But this time it was a little bit of you can still run. And I think that comes down to the fact that I've been training here for the last 6 months really well, and feeling really great, and knowing that even despite whatever setbacks I've had, so after having Regan, she's 6, and then having my frozen shoulders, feeling like, you're going through perimenopause and you've got all the inflammation and things just aren't working well, I actually thought, I'm at the end of my road.
Athletic
Everything.
endeavours.
I'm
Yep.
done.
Yep.
Just I'm here to move, and then
Clearly
get that.
not.
Yeah, I was a little bit chuffed.
You
should
should
be.
be. Good.
That's
So-
very cool.
But I don't think I've had to do anything to work on who I am. I just think when you've been through enough, I'm sick of fighting. I don't care to show anyone who I'm not. This is me.
And perhaps even from what you said earlier, like, I do think, obviously I'm biased because I own a gym too, but being in those situations where you have to have those values and you have to know it, otherwise the business won't really work. Like, if you don't have your own. So maybe even back then that's really helped mold that.
Potentially, but the way you described me before, I would probably look at both of you and think the same.
Yep.
We've
So
done
may-
it.
Yeah, so I'm thinking maybe you are already there, because, I would look at both of you and think that.
I think something that I hear often, I feel that I know who I am. I feel like I've always known who I am. I feel confident in what I know, and I feel confident admitting in what I don't. What I don't think I have that you have, I have a intimidation factor that other women feel. You have it?
Women and men.
Okay.
I walk
so
in
maybe
a
it's
room
because
and a man will start shaking.
Maybe it's that, like,
maybe that we're
self-assurance.
yeah. So maybe because Ali's self-assured, she looks at us. That yeah. Okay, I understand. So yeah, because all I
Because
want
they-
is
yeah.
women to not feel that from me, and I want them to feel confident in themselves, and I want them to be able to move around the gym and feel like they can go and pick up a box and put it to where they need it to go because that's the exercise they're doing, for a very small example. And you do that, and you're not, and you know, you're not worried to come and talk to us about things that you have to change, and you come to us with what you would like to change it to. And yeah, like you just have a confidence to you that isn't afraid, and yeah, it feels good.
That's
And I
great.
want
Well
everyone to
said.
have that.
Yes.
And yeah, I was wondering if you had any advice for others that
Like,
would
go
feel,
through some shit.
yeah,
Come back.
I guess.
Yeah, potentially, which you wouldn't want to. But yeah, if you'd never had to go through half the things that we've been through, is a good thing. But yeah, maybe. Oh,
Do you think it's come with age as well? Not calling you old, but
absolutely.
as you have gotten older,
Well, no, because my friends have always said to me, "Oh God, you're a rude bitch," because to them it looks rude.
Yeah.
When really, I'm just
Yeah.
like, well, I'm not
It's
going
just
to waste my
what I
time.
want,
with
yeah.
yeah, exactly. So maybe when I was younger, maybe I still do come across rude. I do intimidate people a lot.
Yeah.
And it's unintentional. So
Tell me about it.
yeah, so I have been told, well, maybe if you smiled.
fuck off.
Oh, I just get this like tightness in my chest from old bosses saying that. Oh, yeah.
Maybe if you smiled, like people wouldn't feel like that. It's like it's not my problem. They feel like that.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't actually know how to. I think it starts with your values. Really, a lot of people float through life. They don't actually. There's not even an awareness of where they want to be in life. So if you're not really thinking about where you want to go, you don't. There's no real need to have some values. But when you do have somewhere to go, you need to have values because that'll determine who is in and who isn't, or what you're going to tolerate and what you're not. So for me, I've done that a lot. I won't tolerate a lot.
I've been working on that with my psychologist, actually.
Have you?
Now that we talk about it, yeah. Because I didn't know. She was like, she like gave me this big list, and she was like, pick 5, and I was like, oh, I don't know, do not know.
Of what?
Like values, like
Yeah.
what are the 5 things from this list that are the most important to you? I was like, oh, I've never thought about it before.
Really?
No,
Like no personal values?
no,
You know how I talk about my keep notes?
Mm.
I have my personal values pinned at the top.
really, Jesus.
The good thing is they can change.
Yeah, that's true.
So it could be a 5 that, whatever they mean to you at the moment. But it probably oozes out of you too what your values are. Because then when you come up with them, you'll go, oh, I do that anyway.
Yeah, that's very true. But yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I think you've got them there, but
Just
maybe
don't know
you've
what they are.
just
maybe.
never like put them into actual
like
words.
Yeah, because I really struggled with that.
But I think you're
I was
very
like,
good at
To
recognizing.
make money and have stuff. I don't know.
Make money and die. No, I think you're like who like people. You're
Yeah.
like, this is my person. This is
Yeah,
you're quite
yeah.
good at recognizing that, but maybe you just
But like
haven't
the
put
why.
it into
Yeah.
words.
Yeah. Anyway, that's cool because I feel like even myself having not done that, and I think I'm a pretty self-aware person, like, wow, that's probably what so many people struggle with.
I know that with family used to be like my number one value. And I always wondered why I could never make and hold money because I'll give money away if I have to. But one thing was taught to me, I can't remember when or how long ago, but they said to me, if you don't make money a priority, how will you have money for your family to do the things that you want to do? So it made me have a little bit of a mind shift around money because money was never important. It's like, oh, money's nothing. You earn money, you die. But yeah, when I realised what is it that I want for my family, you really need money these days to have it. So it made me actually change my priorities around money and how important it is to respect it.
Yeah, that's cool.
So good. I could talk to you for 3 years, I reckon.
I was
What's
thinking
the
I was
world's
coming
longest
in.
podcast? Let's
Sorry, I do
let's
talk.
go.
I was going to say, when I came in, I thought I was going to be talking all things firefighting, and I was like, oh, I'll have my greatest story around
Maybe
my
that can be
baby
part
in the toilet. When
Oh
we're talking
yeah,
about
okay.
delivering
Let's do
babies.
part 2.
No, but this has
There's
been
more.
great. This is very different to what I thought.
That's good. I knew it was going to be this.
This is what we planned all along.
What else we got? Have you got any other questions you want to finish on?
I reckon we need to get you back for a part 2 in a little bit because I've got lots of questions.
I normally have lots of questions. I actually had a few for you, and I was like, this is not about me. asking
She's like, so this is my podcast now.
Sit down, ladies. Welcome to the session.
good.
I think I'd just like to finish with like a you've done CrossFit for a very long time through many different stages of life, through many different stages of career and lots of different things. What we want people to do CrossFit for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you recommend for people for the longevity and the way you've still doing it now? Like, how have you stayed in it, and why do you keep coming back to it, and how should they do that?
Sure. It seriously is something that everybody can do, and you can do it forever. I do know that in my experience, you'll have women who get bored and they'll want to go away, and then they find they miss it and they come back again. But that's the only real thing that I've seen, like personally with other women in the gym, and men, but we'll keep it with women in the gym, is that they have a boredom and they don't know what it is, but they kind of think they need to move on, and they'll use an excuse like, oh, I've had a bit of a niggle in my shoulder, I'm just going to take a couple of weeks off. And really they'll go and find something that they think is less stressful on their body, and then find they need to come back again. And I've seen that so many times. You've probably seen it yourselves. But for me, because it is for everybody and it is scalable, I know you're supposed to leave your ego at the door, but until you really do leave your ego at the door and understand that when you're here to move for life, you really, it's until you do that, you can grasp that I'm just here to do things. I don't need to injure my shoulder or hurt my leg to come first in a workout, or, show that I'm going to do a PB and lift as heavy as I can. You're here for the long haul. And for me, I see that CrossFit just transfers into my everyday life so well that everybody should be doing it. Like, really, everybody should be. Kids, old people, me.
Everyone. And that's something that we found with Ali from the start. We're always like, we'll have like a little staff chat, and when you joined, I was like, well, guys, she's a long time CrossFitter. Let's be mindful how we deliver the information. Let's see if she's coachable. But you were very coachable from the beginning. A bit resistant with your shoulder, fair enough when you first started. But you're so coachable for someone who's done it yourself, which is such a cool trait to have as well. And yeah, like, again, you probably wouldn't have hung around if you weren't, because we like to coach. So.
True, and you are really good coaches.
What?
Yeah.
Sorry, say again.
Say it
You
louder.
are absolutely
Becky,
exceptional
you got this?
coaches.
Becky's making faces.
Timeline, exceptional coaches.
Thank you, Ali.
No,
you,
but you
Ali.
really are. And I have been to a number of CrossFit gyms. As you know, when you've been in the boxes, you can travel around the world and drop in anywhere, and you can have experiences whether you like them or not. But I've been to a number of gyms where the coaching hasn't actually been up to standard, and it does make a difference. Sometimes when you walk into a box too, they'll automatically go, oh, well, you
We
own
won't
a
coach
gym.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, I won't tell her how to move, and they'll move away from it. But you didn't do that here. You did the opposite.
Yep.
So, I think I gravitated towards that.
That's awesome.
More. So,
That's
and because you
perfect.
really know what you're talking about. So,
We try.
I love it.
We try hard. That's awesome.
We do. That's very cool.
But transitions. So transitions, we all transition through different things, whether it's pregnancy, whether it's coming back from an injury. And that's what's so good about being in the box, is you can scale it to everything. Look at these women down here who are pregnant or just had babies. Like, I love it. Love
very
it.
So cool.
And that's
so cool.
That's why I initially started the podcast. That's what I wanted. I wanted to get different members, and because like us as coaches, and you would remember this as well. Like, you just have like this one awesome place where everyone comes together in this one spot. You know everyone's story. You get to hear all of it, but you want everyone to hear about everyone, what they got going on, which
Because
is,
everyone has a story and they're all incredible.
yeah. And they're all fighting their own battles
Yeah.
and winning different things. And you just want to
think-
show people it's possible.
Well, I love that here because I do ask a lot of questions. So in getting around to all the women in here that I have spoken to, you do find out a lot about what they do.
Yeah.
It is really cool to see them in here.
Yes. 100%.
Mm.
Let's finish on a bright spot or a question.
Yeah, let's go bright spot.
bright spot.
Give a bright spot for the week.
Please explain.
Bright
Oh,
spot.
like
Oh,
something like excellent that has happened. It doesn't even have to be excellent, just something bright.
something that's been
Something
They
that's been
made the
great.
Queensland.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And I'm 51.
She didn't have
That's
to
pretty
repeat
good
that.
bright
She
spot.
nailed it.
51 on Sunday, and yeah, it is nice to know that I can still run against younger women, and I'm still going okay. Fall apart, but
Put yourself back together again.
kinesiology tape is pretty good these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very special. And just to show that you're not done. You're not done. You're not done until you've fucking done.
So I did a touch football comp. Sorry,
No, keep going. Let's
going.
go.
Sorry, well, a few weeks ago, it was a state cup down in Coffs Harbour, and there were 60, and I think there may have even been a 67-year-old woman still running around, which for me was inspiring because I was thinking, wow, if she's still moving that good, there's hope for me.
I got another 15 years left of this shit.
Although my kids do say, oh my God, did you play again, Mum? Are you still running around?
I love seeing
So
your
cool.
shuttle runs. I reckon you
Oh,
beat me.
they're so good.
I honestly reckon
So
you, if we
speedy.
had a
and she
shuttle...
touches the ground with both hands. Like,
Does
that's
she?
like extra.
I reckon I had you in one of my classes the other week. I was watching you shuttle run. I was like, this bitch. I reckon if you and I had a shuttle run race, you'd kick my ass. I reckon if we ran 20
we should
laps,
test it one day.
I reckon you'd beat me. Like
Ali's
easily.
like, yep, I would.
Look at her. She's like starting to warm up. Yeah.
I'm thinking I'm good for 20 metres.
Yeah.
Maybe even 10.
Yeah.
After
We'll warm
that.
up real good, so there's no hammies full, but I'd have a crack. What's yours?
I'm going to be that real annoying person that says I've got lots of exciting things happening, but I can't say what any of them are.
I can't wait to announce your exciting things. Like, we have to talk about it on here.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Obviously.
not good.
I mean, it is.
Give me one.
Wait, no,
I
we'll
won.
tell you when we
One.
turn it off.
Yeah,
Do you-
okay, I
we'll-
can
like
tell you.
when we turn this off, like you can tell.
But when I can say I have finally decided I'm going to go finish my masters.
Oh, bravo.
Yay! That works.
does that work?
Yeah.
That's very exciting.
Yeah.
Mine is, I feel very blessed to have people. I also feel like this is very like no information with information. I've helped some people with some challenges this week in life, and I feel very lucky that they have come to me to talk to them.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, that makes me feel like good that I can help them.
Well, you know you're approachable.
Yes, with when people
Not
know
that
me,
scary, really,
when
then,
people
are ya?
when people know me, like I'm absolute fucking teddy bear.
Yeah, she cries a lot.
Oh, so much. Biggest sook. Becky, do you want to do your bright spot?
Yeah.
Do you want to come over?
You can do it in front of the camera. Go.
I started tap dancing lessons.
Oh, really?
Wow.
It's the best. And she tap dances around the
That is
gym
the
everywhere.
best.
I used to do it as a kid, and for ages I've been like, I really want to. It's one of those things. I'm going to do that again one day. And
Now she's back
Now
at
it's one
it
day.
like 60-year-old women.
with 60-year-old women. Yeah. She's
But
absolutely
I'm
carving them
down,
up.
I'm the youngest in the room, but I like that.
She likes being the youngest.
It's
That's-
really fun. It's good fun.
And
That's
it's so
awesome.
good, I think, so important to continue learning things
And
forever.
it's still in there.
That's
Like,
very
it
cool that
comes
it's still,
back.
yeah,
So you think, oh, I'll be rubbish now, but
still an
So good.
absolute.
great, but I'm okay. Yeah.
We're excited for the talent show, Becky to tap dance.
No. What?
Don't tell everybody.
Oh, I didn't know that's what you were doing. Oh, sick.
Oh,
If
you're
it is a
giving
tap
away
dance,
now.
I can't wait. We'll see. All right. Thank you very much for
Thanks,
coming on. That
Ali.
was
Thank you for
very
having
fun.
me.
very good conversation. And that was an hour and 10 minutes. Doesn't feel like it, does it? It goes so fast. I love it. All right. Thank you. We'll
Thank
do
you.
a part 2
Bye.
soon.
Yes.
Bye-bye.